From Egypt to Babylon, India to Japan, ancient history is rich with myths and legends of feline beings that were worshipped as gods and goddesses. But were these cat-like entities more than symbolic representations of power? Could they have been an ancient race of extraterrestrials, known by some as the Urma, who came to Earth contributing to the evolution of humankind? If so, what is known about this exclusive species of extraterrestrials that were once an influence in ancient times? And why do we no longer witness their presence today?
So while we don't know as much about the felines and the Urma as we do, let's say, the greys or the reptilians that are very prominent in pop culture and that we are gaining more and more awareness of, what we do know is that these Urma had a very strong, powerful place in humanity's past. They were one of the foundational influences on what it meant to have human civilization for that time period.
In ancient Egypt, the cat was absolutely revered as sacred, and attached to the cat were ideas or characteristics like righteousness, strength, power, royalty. For example, in the tombs in ancient Egypt, you'll find them buried with statues of cats. And part of the reason why is because they want to connect themselves with those ultimate characteristics of the feline race, of the leonine race, that righteousness, power, and majesty. In the Book of the Dead, Ra is shown with a knife in his hand, killing the serpent of chaos, because cats are ferocious killers too. And then Ra's daughter, Bastet, takes the form of a humanoid cat being. Are these really feline, humanoid beings, as the Egyptians insisted they were? What if they were? Sekhmet is well known as a feline goddess. She's a humanoid cat. She's in fact the consort or wife of Ptah, who came from Sirius, and the Egyptians said was their god of technology who fashioned the human body. So why is Ptah mated with a cat? Is this a feline race that came from Sirius, or where did they come from? We're never told where the felines originated. We're just told that they're a very important part of Egyptian creation mythology. Murray Hope was a great mythologist and wrote extensively about Sirius, and she called them the Peshats. Peshat is a French word for cat. They came from Sirius. She said the lion people in ancient Egypt were a feline race. They were actually a feline race that she called the Peshats. So this is well ingrained in Egyptian mythology that the cat people were actually real people.
According to ancient civilization researchers, the Giza Plateau is significantly older than mainstream academia propose and can be dated back tens of thousands of years to a time known as Zep Tepi, when the Earth was aligned with the constellation of Leo. Is it possible that the connection with Leo is more than simply a celestial alignment? Might it be a clue for a technologically advanced feline presence on Earth during that time, a time before the Great Deluge and the destruction of Atlantis?
I think there is enough evidence we have there that these depictions show lion-headed beings interacting with humanity, and at the same time, we know their association with the age of Leo is very important because we see Leo the Lion King being a very important part of astrotheology.
The Sphinx originally used to be a lion-headed being, and eventually in later time periods, that lion face was reshaped to be a human face. But it is a very strong likelihood that the Sphinx was not only a representation of the age of Leo, which was the time of Zep Tepi, the original time when things was the origin of human civilization, but it may also be an indication of the Urma presence at the time period of Zep Tepi and Atlantis and Lemuria.
I think a lot of the stories that we see in ancient Egypt about these different gods and goddesses are pointing to a unified pre-Diluvian civilization, which we would call Atlantis, and some would call Lemuria before that, or Mu. And these are clearly times when humanity had advanced levels of technology for the creation of specific kinds of sites and structures, things that we don't know how to build now, that they were able to build with ease. And so I believe that a lot of the galactic interface and influence that was happening during Atlantean times and prior to the flood last in our stories today as mythologies, as the stories of gods and goddesses. But that these are in many ways beings that were hybridized from the stars that were actually here on this planet at one time or another.